This is Dream Chasers, episode 11, with Salvatore Flight. Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Adam Carswell, and welcome to Dream Chasers, Interviews with the Future. On Dream Chasers, we interview individuals with supernatural amounts of potential based on early success in their careers. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's get straight to the interview. Hey guys, this is Adam Carswell, and today I'm joined by Salvatore Flight. Salvatore is an economics major at Providence College in Rhode Island. Sal, thanks for being on the show today. Do you have any opening remarks for our listeners?
Yeah, just Adam, thank you for having me on. This is like an absolute amazing experience, and getting to meet you last weekend at Freedom Fest was absolutely incredible. You and your girlfriend are amazing people.
Thank you. And I was really, just for the listeners right now, really drawn to Sal. The interactions that we had, I got to know his parents as well, who were also at Freedom Fest. And when I see this kid who's 21 with the capacity to think way beyond your average 21-year-old, I'm like, okay, I don't even know what direction you're heading with your life, but it's the right direction, and we got to get you on this show. So we're really excited to have you on here. My first question for you, Sal, I want you to think big, as you already do. What is your dream?
A lot of kids often will come into college and say, like, thinking big is, I want to go and get a good job. I want to come out of college. I want to graduate. I want to make millions of dollars, but they don't have a route to do that. Everyone always says they want to change the world. That's another thing everyone always says. And if you can mix the two of those, I think there's potential there, especially for kids who, I know, Adam, you were an athlete in college. I'm currently an athlete in college, and I think giving kids who have a skill set they already can use and use for entrepreneurship, allowing kids to expand their minds, allowing people to at least understand the foundation of where we come from and the foundation of success, that's allowed the great American experiment to happen. College kids are kind of restricted in their ability to do that, especially college athletes. And I mean, allowing people to explore the options that they have available for themselves. That's something kind of like what I would want to achieve in life is, much like an organization like FEE, much like an organization like Intercollegiate Studies Institute, which I'm a part of at Providence, like they give kids the ability to think, they give kids the ability to explore like the world around them, whether it be through politics, through those organizations, whether you be looking at economic policy. It gives them room to explore other options. My dream is to kind of be able to bring that to more people as well. Like, we have an ISI group. There's about 15 of us. On a 3,000 person campus, 15 is just a drop in the bucket. And when you look at schools like University of Illinois, when you look at schools like University of Iowa, Ohio, it's 50,000 to 60,000 kids at those schools. And to be able to open a lot of kids up to experiencing things like Frederick Bastiat or, kind of looking at the understanding of Hayek, like if you can give kids that idea, we can maybe start working on diminishing political polarization, which is kind of like the big goal for me, is because I want things to run smoothly. And I've always loved politics. I've been drawn to that. And so kind of my big goal in life is to help maybe bring that back to the people who have kind of, maybe been missing it in their life. Like kids don't learn civics anymore. You aren't required to take a civics course in high school. That might be a problem in the future, and we're seeing it now.
Yeah, I really like that approach, and I like how you kind of broke it down by the numbers to show how small of a percentage are being exposed to what you perceive to be very valuable. And I completely agree with that.
And I mean, it's not to make a political statement. Like, yes, you should explore both options. You should look on what classical liberalism has. You should look on what we have in the United States, where we have liberal and Republican. You shouldn't be fit into a box. You shouldn't toe a party line. You should explore the options and the ideas that are present. And you should make an opinion upon looking at all of them. You shouldn't just be told immediately that something's evil because it's conservative or because it's progressive.
Especially, I think, to just validate that more, it's to the point now where once you get into higher education, it's not forced down your throat, but the idea is you got to pick a side.
Exactly.
You go this side or this side. There's no, hey, you actually have some other options here, different ways to think. So I really like that approach.
So, I mean, yeah, that in essence, like, yeah, I tend to be more conservative, especially with my values and especially with my economic and like thoughts. But you have to, my dream is to at least have people look at the issues from all sides. And I do tend to think that the ideas that I have studied and continually try and bring people into do have value to them, because I think they are the founding values. Like, you should read Aristotle when you're in college. You should look at Machiavelli. You should look at John Locke, because those are all the underpinnings of what has allowed those same kids to be in the colleges that they're in. They wouldn't be there if it weren't for those great thinkers down the line.
Absolutely. So when did you first realize that this was something that you wanted to take to the next level? My dad threw me in, so it really does come back to having a good family. I've been really blessed to have two incredible parents where they have pushed me when, I could have been a lazy teenager, and I still am lazy about some things, and I do realize that that's a fault where there's things I could be much better upon, but my parents were very good in that they, I was raised Catholic. And so when I had to go in for my communion, confirmation, sorry. Mm-hmm.
I had to choose a confirmation saint. So of course I went with St. Augustine, because as all people do, you realize, like, okay, you aren't perfect, but we can try and live perfect lives, even if you were an imperfect person. And so my dad's idea of having me learn about Augustine was throwing me to confessions and saying swim. And that was freshman year of high school. No freshman in high school should ever try and understand that book on a metaphysical or a theological level, because you won't get it unless you read 16 other books. But that's the kind of start that I had, and I've loved it ever since. So really kind of just fully taking a grasp on what I was offered, not just through my parents, but through opportunities with school, with opportunities with professors coming and say, hey, you should look into an organization like ISI. When we were able to get that organization off the ground at PC, that was one of the most proud moments I had, as me and my friends were able to get that off the ground. It's not so much as just when did I want to take it to the next level, it's when did I have the ability and the recognition that I should take advantage of the opportunities that I was presented. It was more so the realization that I have these opportunities and I should take them, because that will help me in the long run. And it'll help a lot of other people.
It's so good to hear also that you are able to, it sounds like because of what happened to you back your freshman year of high school, has created the awareness that you need to begin to spot out these unique opportunities that maybe another individual in your same shoes might not see, because they don't have that same history that you were blessed to have.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I can't repeat it enough. It was an absolute blessing, and it's because of my parents and how incredible they are. Through them, I got introduced to a lot of this, but through them, they gave me the opportunity to explore more. It's not because of the choices that they made for me. I chose a lot of what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to go to a private high school. They made it possible for me to do that. They gave up a lot for me to do that. They did the same for my brother. But they've let us choose the path we want to go in life. And that, I think, is the most important part of it, where they've given us material, but then they've let us make our own opinions out of it. And they've let us stand up and speak out for ourselves. Like, my mom gets nervous when I do stuff at school for ISI, because she's scared I'm going to tick off the administration. But like, at the end of the day, it recognizes that it's something I love and that she's not going to get in the way of it. And like, I think that's the best part about, you have to have a good foundation. Mm-hmm. A house built on sand isn't going to last.
So your parents are definitely an inspiration to you. Yeah. I would say even an inspiration to me now, just observing how they've constructed everything for you. Thankfully I come from, what I believe is a very great family, solid foundation. So we probably have a lot of similarities there, which is also reassuring to hear in a year like 2018, hopefully just keep setting the example for those to follow in our footsteps. But anyways, to this question, what industry leaders and role models besides your parents are you inspired by?
Now, there could be so many people you choose here. And, like you sent me these questions a week ago and I sat and thought about it. And one of the first people that I really, really read up on, because, in U.S. history in high school, you're sitting there and then you go through this whole phase and you get to these people and they're like, oh, here are the robber barons. The guys who stole a bunch of money. And you look at it and you're like, Andrew Carnegie didn't steal a lot of money. And you're like, he actually came from nothing and became probably one of the biggest donators to private libraries around the United States. And guys like that, like Andrew Carnegie was kind of like one of the first people I stumbled upon when I was kind of starting my delving into history and really into understanding, the U.S. history. And for me, he's a poor kid who worked in a rail yard and then became the tycoon, this tycoon steel magnate.
He's got a street in every city named after him, right?
He does. And his private libraries litter the country. The man donated more of his wealth to private libraries than most people will donate in their entire lives, who have infinitely more money than he does. And I find that to be kind of really important, because you look at someone like that, you see it's someone who's classified as this man who stole wealth from a bunch of people, by our teachers, our professors. And you realize his life wasn't just about creating a product for people. It was about giving back. And as, conservatives nowadays tend to be like, yes, what you can do is not just make money for yourself, but it's give back to your community. And that's part of faith. And that's part of, just understanding what it means to have wealth. A lot of the things is creation of wealth for yourself and creation of wealth for others. Carnegie did that really well, where the wealth he wasn't creating might not have been material. It was immaterial in that he was creating a wealth of knowledge for other people. And that's infinitely more important than material wealth. That's not to say I don't like the idea of making a ton of money, because that'd be, it would be fun and be nice. But at the end of the day, if you can give back something like that, if you can give back to charity, if you can give back to other people through your creation of wealth, I think he's one of the biggest examples of that in modern history. And I really do enjoy reading up about him and, just listening to the history surrounding it, because of how misperceived a lot of people are about him. Mm-hmm. I also really like Calvin Coolidge, but it's pretty standard. Silent Cal is probably one of the best presidents the United States has ever had. And I think he's really misrepresented as well and kind of underwritten in history. So there are a lot of people you can point to for this question. And honestly, I feel like we don't have enough time.
We could do a whole podcast on this.
We really could do 3 hours upon just the great people of history who, have kind of influenced my line of thinking. But so that I honestly, within even just trying to keep this to a minimum, that those two are really important to me.
I definitely agree. And something that was brought to my attention recently, it just kind of backs up what you were saying, for example, about Carnegie. The creation of knowledge is also the creation of wealth, and it's giving, for example, even what you're doing now or what we're doing now, this is something that could last forever, that someone could find value in. Yeah. And it's not even being written or read in a book. It's a spoken word, because reading and writing is something that people have only been using to learn for the past 500 years. Before that, all knowledge was spoken word. Yeah. And so that's the power of the podcast right there.
If you have to go back to Homer, the Odyssey and the Iliad, we still have them. And for thousands of years, those were just passed down as told tradition. And that's fascinating. So,
yeah. Where do you see yourself in 3 years? This is a good question. And it's a hard one, because with what I want to be doing and with what I would love to see changing in the world, in 3 years, my life could be in several different directions. Obviously, I want to have a stable
a stable life. I don't want to be in grad school. I don't want to be stuck doing someone else's work. I'd like to be able to explore the liberty and freedom that the United States offers to a lot of people, and I think it's been offering to people for the last 200 years. So in 3 years, I'd like to have a study plan. So I'd like to be, my dad invests in commercial real estate. I'd like to at least invest in real estate so that I can have passive income where I don't have to worry about having to live check to check, like a lot of college students do when they come out. I'd love to continue to work with organizations like FEE, like ISI, who have been so fundamental in my education, not only as like a student, but as a person. I would like to give back. I have been an athlete for close to my entire life, but from high school to college, I've been a cross-country track athlete, and I'd love to give back in some way to, kids who love it. And I have a lot of passion for that, and I'd love to help out with, maybe a local high school team or a Division III program. Maybe not even on the coaching side, but, just helping out with that. But yeah, and I mean, I've always loved music. That's always been a huge part of my life. So maybe figuring out a way I can work that in as well. So yeah, it's just trying to fit thousands of different things in, but just, you got to schedule your time and work it effectively. And hopefully, not even hopefully, like I want to in 3 years have that all, locked in and fitting.
We're getting close to the end of the interview here, so we're gonna we got a few more questions. This one I'm really excited. I want to hear your answer on it. So, what life advice do you have for our listeners?
You're never too young to start thinking and making an opinion for yourself. You're never too young to start trying and reaching out to people who you think are above your pay grade. And who you think you won't have a shot at talking to, because you never know. It's better to reach out and be rejected than to have never reached out at all. The friendships and the network that you can build by starting early and by taking advantage of every single opportunity that's offered to you is probably the most important thing you can do. And that's something I haven't always done. And that's something, I will continue to make mistakes down the road. But you have to try and start early, and you have to try and take advantage of what you have. We don't all come from places where we have every opportunity, but you should take advantage of the ones that you do have.
Well said. I need to get that in a quote and then frame it on my wall. Salvatore Flight. Great answer. All right. So we're going to do our fun questions now. I know you had some time to marinate on these and think about your answers. So answer these 3 questions for me, Sal. What is your favorite ice cream flavor, your favorite soda, and your favorite YouTube channel? And you do not have to be biased in the answer to the YouTube channel.
These were probably the 3 hardest questions I had to look at. So these were really mean. Favorite ice cream flavor, probably chocolate chip cookie dough. I love cookie dough.
Okay.
That's a basic one. That's a pretty fun flavor. Soda, one. I don't drink soda anymore, but occasionally when I do have soda, my favorite thing is there's this Italian drink called Kinotto, which is it's not sweet. It's like a bitter herb flavor, and everyone I know hates it. So it means more for me, but it's fantastic. And it literally is the only soda that I drink anymore. And I really don't have it that much. So whenever I can go to a small Italian grocer and find it, I know I'm going to have a good day. So yeah. And then favorite YouTube channel is hard because YouTube is such a vast platform, but as of right now, something for fun, if I'll put it on and let it play in the background, cause I think they're hysterical, but is Red Letter Media, and there's some guys out of Milwaukee. 2 of them are from the Chicagoland area, and they do movie reviews, and they watch videos VHS tapes from the 1980s that they find at block sales that there's no other tapes that ever exist. That's the only tape that exists, and they do hysterical reviews, and Obviously, a lot of their humor revolves around the Midwest and or making fun of the Chicago Bears or, making fun of Chicago or Milwaukee. And oftentimes they'll have like pretty big producers on their show, like or directors on their show who like do smaller budget indie films. And yeah, they rip into stuff and it's the funniest thing in the world.
Nice. I got to check them out. Do you have a way, for the listeners to get in touch with you if they have any questions after the interview?
Yeah, so I can either be reached at my email, which is salvatoreflight@gmail.com. That's kind of the primary way. But yeah, if you want to just reach out on email, be sure to be sure to shoot me something. Sometimes I
say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, sometimes I can't speak English, so wouldn't think that this was my first language. But yeah, so just feel free to shoot me anything. I'm always available, and I would definitely look at back.
That's great. Okay, Sal, thank you for joining us. It's been a wonderful interview. I'm looking forward to our conversation after this.
Yeah, Adam, thank you for having me on. This has been fantastic. As I said again, when I met you, you're a phenomenal human being, and it's been great to meet you and get to know you and kind of, do this entire thing and this entire process with you. So again, thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.